They're successful, they're earning well, six figures, sometimes even more, but somewhere deep down inside, there's this constant undercurrent of doubt, analyzing every single decision. Your mind simply won't stop. It's not a lack of knowledge, it's the part of yourself which you're operating from. I've spent over 30 years in the corporate world and in the world of yoga and meditation, and here's what I have learned. Let me ask you something. You've done well. By most measures, you've built something real. Career, business, a reputation. People around you would probably say that you've made it. So why does it feel like you're stuck? Why are you working harder than ever, but getting diminishing returns? Why do you lie awake running the same loops in your head? The deals, the decisions, the what ifs, and you can't switch it off. I'm not talking about your strategy. Your strategy, it's probably fine. I'm talking about something that's underneath that, something no business course has ever addressed for you, because in fact, most of them don't even know that it's there. Here's what I see again and again with the people that I work with. They're successful, they're earning well, six figures, sometimes even more. From the outside, everything looks like it's working. Inside, there's a totally different story. There's this constant undercurrent of doubt, not the kind that you'd admit to anyone, just this quiet voice asking, is this it? Am I actually going even in the right direction? Then there's the overthinking, analyzing every single decision, every conversation, every outcome, running scenarios at 2 or even 3 in the morning instead of, that's right, sleeping. There's the feeling of being always on. Your mind simply won't stop, even when you're with your family, even on holiday. Part of you is still back at the business, turning things over, scanning for threats, planning the next move. You can't find that off switch because, honestly, you've forgotten that there's even one there. Then there's the emotional roller coaster. One week you feel unstoppable, the next, you're questioning everything, and you've learned to hide that. You've learned to project confidence while your inner world is in fact chaos. And underneath all of it, there's a kind of loneliness. Because who do you talk to about this? Your team actually looks to you for certainty. Your partner wants you to be present. Your peers are all projecting the same confidence that you're meant to be. So instead of asking for help, you push harder, you read another book, you try another frame, and nothing fundamentally shifts because you keep upgrading the strategy while running on the same internal operating system. So what if I told you that the thing that's actually holding you back, it's not a lack of knowledge or a lack of contacts or even effort? What if the real limitation is the part of yourself which you're operating from? I've spent over 30 years in the corporate world and in the world of yoga and meditation. And here's what I have learned, both from my own inner experiences and from working with hundreds of business leaders. Most of us are running our businesses from what I call the lower mind. That's the part of you that's driven by fear, scarcity, reactivity, the need to control everyone. It's the part that says, I can't afford to slow down. I can't trust anyone else to do it. I need to push harder. And that part of your mind, that's what got you here. It's not broken. In fact, it's just limited. It was built for survival, not for the level that you're now trying to reach. There's another place that you can operate from. I call this place the heart center. Now, this is not a metaphor. It's not as something soft or sentimental. It's actually a center of intelligence, one that gives you absolute clarity instead of inner confusion. It gives you confidence instead of inner doubt. And it gives you the ability to scan and see the opportunities that the fearful lower mind literally cannot even perceive. The shift from the lower mind into the heart center is the shift that changes everything. Not just your business, but your energy, your relationships, your capacity, your sense of what is in fact possible. That, let me tell you, is what heart-based business is all about. Now, this is an 8-week program, and I created it for people exactly like the person that I just described above. Successful, driven, capable, but hitting an invisible ceiling time and time again. It's not a course full of theory. It's a practice-based program with 3 core elements. Firstly, there's a daily practice. Very simple, consistent, designed to move you in and out of the reactivity of the lower mind and into the heart. It takes less time than you think. And every single person that I've worked with has told me the same thing, that they get more done in less time once they start the practice. Second, there's a weekly group session, a small, intimate cohort of people on the same journey. This is not a passive webinar, a real conversation with real teachings, real accountability, and real connection. People consistently tell me that these sessions become the highlight of their week, not because they're comfortable, but because they're transformative. Thirdly, and this is where the real magic happens, there's one-to-one coaching with me throughout the entire program. And I don't just teach the concepts. I work with you directly on your specific situation, your specific blocks, your specific business. And so I'm listening on multiple levels to what you're actually saying, also to what you're actually not saying, and to what is actually driving the patterns underneath. Over 8 weeks, we work through a progression. We start with understanding where you're operating from. We move into accessing resources and opportunities that you may well have been blind to. We then work on your relationships with abundance, with action, with other people, and we arrive at something most business programs would never, ever touch: a fundamentally different relationship with yourself. Now, I want to share what I've seen happen for people who've already been through this program, because this isn't simply theory for me. I've watched these transformations unfold in real time. One person came in feeling like the gap between where they were and where they wanted to be was unbridgeable. They knew what was theoretically possible, but they couldn't see the path. By the end, they told me that they had more confidence, more clarity, and more visibility of the opportunities than they had ever had before. And the deals they were doing, they started to form even more clearly, more coherently, and they realized that they had the potential to be genuinely life-changing. This was someone, let me tell you, who'd been stuck in the hours for dollars trap their whole career, and for the first time, they could see now the steps to moving beyond it. Another person described their business as a job that they'd created for themselves. It was built on sand or scarcity. It was built from control, trying to do everything on their own. And over the 8 weeks, they went from isolation to genuine openness. They started trusting their team. They started networking, and they started putting people before the process. They told me the speed of the transformation was remarkably fast, and that it was easier and less grinding than anything that they tried before. A third person, and I love this story, they set their goals at the start, and by the end they told me, I wish that I'd set even bigger goals. They went from being effectively unemployed to achieving their highest ever revenue month. They went from believing that they didn't have the time for inner work to saying, I was delusional, thinking I didn't have time for this. They're now doing more in 3 to 4 hours than they used to do in 12. Every one of these people told me independently that although the program cost $10,000, it was a great investment, not because of some abstract feeling that they gained, but because of concrete, measurable changes in their business, their relationships, and their inner life. Now, this particular program is not for everybody. And I mean that genuinely. Not as a sales line, it's simply not for everybody. If you're looking for a quick hack or a marketing funnel template, this is not that. There are plenty of good programs for that, and I'll happily point you towards one of them. Heart-based business is for you if you've already achieved a real level of success, and you now know that somewhere deep down inside that the next level isn't about doing more. It's about becoming more clear, peaceful and free, more centered, and more yourself. It's for you if you're tired of that roller coaster, if you want to stop running your business from fear and start running it from somewhere more powerful, more sustainable and true. And it's for you if you're ready to do the work, not just talk about change, but practicing it daily with support, with accountability, and with someone in your corner who's been where you are and knows the way through. Someone like me who has the map. Now, if this sounds like you, I'd love to have a conversation, not a sales call, a real conversation to understand where you are and whether this is the right fit right now. So there's a link in this video and you can use it to book a time so that we can communicate together. Your business, let me remind you, it doesn't need a new strategy. It needs the real you behind it. So if this resonates clearly, I will see you on the other side.